Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by the House of Worship Technology YouTube channel. I'm Matt McQueen, and this is another episode of Church Tech Tip Tuesday. Today, we are going to talk about how to integrate an in-ear monitor system into your worship team's setup. Recently, we had an opportunity to do an install and a system tuning in Lake Jackson, Texas for Willow Drive Baptist Church, and we were able to sit down with Pastor Doug Shea to talk about his method for integrating and prepping the team for the new install. So we're going to do something a little bit special this week and listen to Doug's thoughts on how to integrate in-ear monitors into your team's setup.
To be able to prep your team to swapping from like a monitor system or a lower budget in-ear system or a system where the sound man is running the in-ears, the big tip is actually to prep them. You have to prep them on what in-ears are like, okay? So if you're a worship pastor, and I've been for years, and I fought monitors versus in-ears for a long period of time. And when they first put the in-ears in, it's going to be an experience where they're not certain if they like it, and it's going to be uncomfortable. So the biggest thing that you need to do with your worship team, which worked excellent for us, was before I even had them installed, I told the worship team about my experience, my wife's experience, and I said, look, we fought against these from the start. When we finally got them in, it was awkward, it was weird, and it sounded different than what you're used to. But I promised them that they went through a period of time, get a few weeks of actually trying to tweak them out and play with them, that they would never go back. And that's a fact. It's true. It happened with myself and my wife. My wife fought against it for the longest period of time, and she was playing a piano show. I said, try my in-ears, do this. She did it. The second that was done, she never went back. The one thing that I kind of told my team was the panning is crucial so that you're not jamming everything to the center. Okay, so what I always did, depending on who you are, if you're a singer, if you're a guitar player, if you're a drummer, everything that you're doing needs to be down the center. It needs to be exactly center so that that's what you can focus on, what you're doing, because that's the most important thing that you're doing up here on the platform. You're doing your job, so you need to be aware of what you're doing. And it's very important to spread everything else out across the spectrum of sound. So if you have like a drummer, and drums for the most part I'd want to keep more in the center because you want to be able to, but not dead center. You want to pan them off a little bit to one way or the other. You want to take the other singers and like spread them to the left or to the right so that you can harmonize with them, so you can blend with them. You want to take all the instruments and break them up across the spectrum so that it opens up the whole spectrum of sound. But what you definitely want to do is keep what you're doing to the dead center. So there was a couple reasons why I felt it was so important to switch from floor wedges to in-ear monitors. And like I talked about before, it's a little uncomfortable at first, but once it gets dialed in, it's going to be like a night and day world of difference. And the reason is because you have control of what you're mixing for the most part. You can hear what you want to hear. You're not at the sound man's got so much responsibility, and you're actually giving him two sets of responsibility, and that's to gauge your mix and to balance it out between the whole floor, and at the same time do sound out of house. So the number one reason for me was when I listened to outside or in the congregation, there was so much blowback of low end because he had to pump up so much volume so singers could hear themselves or guitar players could hear themselves, that blowback is actually affecting your sound in the congregation. So he has to actually mix the mains to balance with this low end blowback that's coming off the platform with these wedges. Because when you only have so many mixes on the platform, they have to fight with one another. So you got a guitar player needs more, a singer needs more, a singer needs more, and you can bring them down, you can bring them up, but it'll never change the fact of a blowback. Without that, you take that, you strip it away, it's done. You have the purest sound you could possibly have from the sound guy. And when you go to your own monitors, and especially if you step up a little bit where you can have your own mix, you can control that, and you can hear what you want to hear instead of relying on what other people can't hear and what a sound man gives you.
Well, those were some great thoughts by Doug on how to integrate in-ear monitors into your worship team's setup. If you have any questions about how we did the install, or if there's any more that you would like to learn about in-ear monitors, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to be able to answer those questions for you, and how we helped to make Doug's transition and his team's transition very easy. This has been Church Tech Tip Tuesday. I'll see you next week.